The goal of this series is to discover every day ways that we can look for God when we're feeling overwhelmed by stress and worries of this world. Have you ever taken geometry? Is that even like a class that people take in high school anymore? Because when I was in high school, I took it and I thought, what's the big deal? It's just shapes. I've been learning shapes since I was 3 years old. I had the blocks where you had to match them. I was so wrong. I thought it was gonna be a breeze and I wasn't gonna have any trouble, but it turned out to be way more difficult than I thought. And I had a teacher who showed no grace, no mercy, or sympathy for any confusion that I felt. After a few weeks, I realized that I was struggling majorly in this class. And I started feeling stressed before I even walked into the classroom. It felt like shapes and formulas started blending together into one big blurry picture. It was everything and it was everywhere. Fortunately, there was a girl in this class that I was friends with, and I didn't want to admit to her that I was struggling, but she figured it out pretty quick. At first, she just started helping me and I didn't ask for any help, and she didn't offer it. She just did it. Once I realized that she understood how clueless I was and still helped me, I let down my guard, not trying to act like I had my act together at any point. I passed it with a C that semester, and I gave all the credit to my friend because I probably would have failed. Sometimes our solution to stress is another person, but we rarely think about other people when it comes to our stress. There are probably a lot of reasons why, but I'm going to highlight just a few. We feel alone. On that note, we tend to pretend like we're doing better than we are. And that was me in chemistry, right? I wanted to pretend like I was okay, but I definitely wasn't. What if we walked around every day carrying a basketball, but we didn't want anyone to see it, so we tried to hide it. And we walked around like this all day, worried if people were behind us, moving the basketball to move it in front of us, and if people were in front of us, moving it back. And that's what we try to do with our stress sometimes. What if we walked around every day carrying this, but we didn't want anybody to see it, and we just kept hiding it, hiding our stress, hiding our worries, hiding our fears. That's silly, right? But that's what we try to do with our stress sometimes. We wonder if God can help. Well, Proverbs 29:25 from the New Living Translation says it like this: fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. And what's cool is that the people around you can play a part in helping you deal with the stress in your life. One of Jesus' closest followers was a guy named John. And he records a time when Jesus had been beaten, tried, and found guilty, and put on the cross to be crucified. And as if that wasn't enough, Jesus was worried about his mom. What would she do when he was gone? This is what was said. Standing near the cross were Jesus' mother and his mother's sister Mary and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother standing there beside the disciple he loved, he said to her, "Dear woman, here is your son." And he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from then on, this disciple took her into his home. We see two things from this encounter. One, Jesus leaning into another person. Two, God using Jesus to save us from our biggest problem. It's a big theme throughout the Bible and throughout history. God uses other people to help us when we're stressed. The hugs, the texts, the smiles, the words of encouragement, the words of truth and counsel, support, strength, and prayer. They're all ways that God uses other people to help us when we feel like everything is everywhere. Some of you may be thinking, maybe God uses other people to help me when I'm stressed, but other people are the reason that I am stressed. I want you to look at this verse in the book of Proverbs. Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. When we trust God, we can understand that he can use other people to come alongside us when we're stressed. It's one of his favorite ways to demonstrate his love in our lives. So not only do we trust him, we also begin to slowly open up and trust other people. In light of what we talked about today, there are two things that I would love for us to do. First, turn to others for help. God can use our friends, our family, our teachers, our pastors, our friends, our parents, and professional counselors, and all kinds of other people. I bet that there are people in your life who want to help. In the Notes app of your phone, I want you to write down 3 people who come to mind. Who are the people in your life who would show up for you to help you when you're stressed or worried? Maybe it's a coach or a grandparent, an aunt or an uncle, a trusted friend, a neighbor, someone at school. This list could go on and on. We also find it in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul said this in a letter to one of the early churches: carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. One of the ways that we can trust God is by trusting other people and helping each other when we feel the weight of everything everywhere. The second thing I want us to look at is look for ways to help others. Wouldn't our lives feel less stressful if we all followed Jesus by helping each other out? What if we woke up every day and looked for ways to say, yes, Jesus, I will help? Just like John was willing to take care of Jesus' mom. Let's be willing to help take care of other people. Let's do what the Apostle Paul instructed and carry each other's burdens. Maybe that means helping one of your parents clean up around where you live. Maybe that means helping one of your friends with their homework in a subject that they're struggling in. Maybe that means showing up for one of your friends who's going through a tough time. Maybe that means praying out loud with someone who is sick or hurting. I wonder what it would look like for you to show up this week for other people who are stressed out. We need to remember that God uses other people to help us when we're stressed. Each week you get the chance to talk through stuff like this with people who not only want to help you, but who understand what it's like to feel like everything is everywhere and that it's messy. So as you head out, I want you to think about this one question. What is one step that you can take to trust God with what you're worried about?